Welcome to today's lesson. In this lesson, we'll continue from where we stopped, where we wanted to capture the first and second value and click equal to for us to have our results. So let's take a look at the typical calculator and see what we have. So what we want to do is, if we're comparing these two together, and we do 12, we do plus. At this stage, the 12, which is the first value, should be saved somewhere in memory so that we will be able to then do 36 and equal sign to give us a value. So I'll repeat it again. We have first value, which can be 12 or anything. We need to be able to keep the first value somewhere in the system. And when we hit the plus button or any of the operator, the system is going to save that first value somewhere for us and clear the screen so that we can come back and enter the second value. And at the point where we click equal to, we'll then have the first value compute with the second value, will give us the result. So we have 4 variables we are dealing with now. The first variable is the first value, second variable is the operator, third variable is the second value, and the last thing is equal sign. More like three variables we are dealing with. So let's create a variable and hold them. While we're trying to hold the variable, let's create a kind of a view so that we will see when we are clicking on the first value. Let's create a kind of display here at the bottom to show us when we are clicking to identify the first value and also the second value. Yeah, so we want to create a kind of display here on the bottom that will show us what's going on. Like we can have first value, so the first value of what we did, and then the second value. So let's just do a shorthand, second value and first value. Then we can do a kind of a divider here to create kind of demarcation. So we want to create a variable holder here such that when we type 12 and we press plus, that value will be placed here in the first place so that we'll see that that's the first value, and we can also see our second value. So this is just for the show and to help understand what we're doing. So we can put another span here, and I can give them an ID so that we can reference to it with JavaScript and control the contents. So best variable name for this can be first underscore first value object. So I'll use short form. So let's use first value container, short form. Then the second one will be second value container. So what we've just done here is just to represent and use an ID to represent this so that we can pass this value into them. So at what point should this value be set? That's very important. This is just a holder. Then we need to create a variable that will hold the first value and the second value. Remember, then we need a variable to also hold the operator. So this is just a handler to hold the anchor, to hold this part here. We'll get back to it soon. So let's go and declare a variable that we need in the entire project. So we're setting our first value. I'll just call it first value. So we'll be needing it for computation. So we're setting it to be 0 by default. Then we also set our second value. And we're also setting it 0 by default. We are also concerned about our operator. So this is very important. Our operator should be blank by default. Then we also are concerned about what our results will look like. We can hold on the result variable. Okay, so we have those two. At what point should this first value be stored? At the point where any operator is clicked. That's when first value should be stored. That's when the variable should be stored. And once we store that variable, we want to display it here. So we need to have a function that will be placed on these 4 buttons so that once we click on this 4 button, a value that we have already here will be captured inside the first value variable. So let's look for where we have our plus button there in the platform. So looking for the plus button. So here we have it. So we create a function called set operator. So we have set operator. So we just created this function set operator, and but it's not doing anything yet. So we have it for plus, minus, multiplication, and division. So we'll go and create the function to set operator, and it's not going to do anything much. It's just to set the operator so that at every point in time we know what the operator is supposed to do. And here should be O for operator, and what we are doing here is just setting what the operator global variable is. This is a global variable which by default is empty. So anytime you then click on that button, it sets the operator to whatever that you specified here. The next thing we want to do is after you set the operator, remember what we wanted to do. Once you set the operator, it means the first value can then be captured. Then let's set the first value. So the first value will now be whatever is in this content here, and the name of that content is called display box. So we can do our display box dot inner text. So we'll do our first value is equal to whatever is inside here. So because we want it to be a number, I can just right from here convert it to number so that I won't need to worry about our conversion later in the future. So we'll convert anything that's here to number so that we can do arithmetic operation, because everything our calculator is all about arithmetic, arithmetic. Then after we must have set this value into this variable, you want to set this object section. Let's go and look for the name. There is it here. That's the value. So we set that part. We are setting the to get that value. You can't just use it like this. You have to use it by doing document dot get element by ID, and then you set the inner text attribute of it. You set it to whatever you have here, the first value. So we'll provide a shorter way to write this. So let's just test this and see what it does. So if I have 23 and I do plus, so you can see that we are having our results showing there. If I do 56, and do plus, you see our result. But of course, it's not working the way we predict. So whenever we do plus, it's supposed to overwrite what was there before, not just having this, but we'll get there gradually. So this line is too long. What we need to do is to make it shorter, or I'll just leave it like this for now. So let's move on. Let's still check our theory of what's going on here. We are not yet there to be exact on what we want to do. So if we do 12 and we do plus, the value should be there. If we do another 36, you can see that it's now in the second level. So how do we capture the second leg of this? The second leg is being triggered whenever we put plus. Whenever the operator is set, the second leg should be triggered. So it means we have to be here when we are displaying figure. This is when we display figure here. When you click on 2, this function is what is responsible for the figure to be displayed in this text box. So when you click, at the point when you are clicking the next thing here, when you click plus, when you go ahead and click the next button, there should be a check here that makes sure that if the operator is set, then you should be worrying about the second value, not the first value. So we need to put a kind of a check here to check the whole system. So we'll do an if operator. So if operator is equal to empty. So when it's empty, this is for the first value. So else, it means it's not empty. If the operator is not empty, it means we are dealing with what? The second value. So when we are dealing with the second value, what do we need to do? We need to clear, when we want to enter the second value, we need to clear what is here first to enter our value here. Let's see what we have here. So whenever it is empty, like this, if the operator is empty, Let's look at it again. When the operator is empty, whatever is here, whatever is here, put it in the first value. Whenever the operator is empty, everything here puts in the first value. So what's holding our first value is here. That's the variable responsible for our first value. And then we can do this is equal to here. So whenever it is second value, meaning the operator is set, we then need to define what our second value is. We come here and set the second value to be this. Second value. We're just repeating this part. So by the time we run the code, we'll then have a clear view of what we're doing. So let's run the code and interpret again so that we can have a clear distinction of what's going on. So if I do, we're not displaying the second, let's display the second value so that we can then see the results. So this should be second. And this should be equating to second here. So whenever we click on set operator like this, it should display, it should display whatever it has and put it here. So let's run it and interpret what it's doing. So we have 78, for example, and if we do plus, it's giving our 78 here. Then if we try to enter another value, it should not put it here as the first value. Okay, so it's repeating it as second value, and what is happening here is not allowing you to enter the value here. So let's retrace what we know so far. So what we want to do so far is that when we have our first value set, I will click on plus. What should happen? It should display 12 here and it should clear the screen for us. So whenever we display plus operator, it should clear the screen. So operator is pressed. How do you clear that screen? So you come here. After you must have done all these assignments, you clear the screen like this. So let's test if that is working. So after you have 12, you click plus, it clears the screen for us. So that's fine. So if we now do 36, so let's put 0 because it's not responding to what we're doing. So let's try it again. 3 plus 6. Okay. So the next problem is when we are displaying our figure. So this part is done. We are pretty done with set operator. Let's give it a try again. When we have 12 and we do plus, it's working well. So this part is working well. So the part that we need to correct is the part when we have to enter the next value. So entering the next value is not working. So let's go and see what is holding us from it working here. So we can see that when it's the second value, we are not setting the display box. That's one error that I just saw now. We are not setting the display box. So we need to set this. So because the display box is always going to be set every time, we can bring it outside the condition. So irrespective of what's going on, display box is always going to be set. So let's give it a try again. So if I have 12 and I do plus, yes, so let's try 3, 0. So you can see that that is working. However, we only have 3, it's not bringing the 0. So we'll get there. Let's check again. So let's try 78 and do plus 2, 3. So it's not capturing the last thing that is there. It's not as if it's not capturing it, but we are not to capture it at this point. So let me see at the point at which we are returning the results. So we don't need to capture the results now. The time that we need to display the results for the user to see is when you press equal to. Let's do that again. 4, 5 plus. So if I do 3, 6, when I press equal to, I want to see the second value there. So, but I want to be assured that I'm having that second value there because we've saved it in the memory. This is where the second value is here. So once you press the equal sign, it should do first value plus the second value. It should give us our result on top of there, and then we should be able to see what the second value is like. Let's have a function in the equal sign so that it can trigger an event that we want. So this is a function that we've created. We've not created it, we just write the name equal to. So this is supposed to be equal to function, and the purpose of that is to evaluate the first value and the second value using the operator that the user selected. So we do function and we do this, no parameter required. Then very simple, you can do you can set it directly, which is just display box like this, and set your options, your value, do your evaluation. What we're evaluating is evaluating our first value. Of course, you add your operator into the mix, and then you add it with what? Second value. Now, if you do it like this, it won't work because the operator is a string, as you can see right there. And what this plus is doing is joining the first value, join the operator, join the second value together. There's a function that allows you to evaluate it, to compute it, to do a mathematical computation based on whatever that was passed there, and it's called eval. So eval does this thing and does the magic for you. So I'm going to close that bracket there. Eval is a function that capture string and turn it to what it needs to do. So it's just going to do our magic for us. Okay, let's give it a try and see what happens. So I will refresh this and start. Let me say 12. Then I do plus, and I do 12 again. But let's do 13. Then I do equal sign. So we're not seeing our results. Nothing is happening. So let's go and debug and see what's going on. First of all, we need to know that this section is firing. So let me just make sure that this section is being fired by calling the attention. Just calling the attention of anybody that clicks there. Okay, you can see that this section is not firing. Equal sign here is not firing. So let's make sure that the button is being clicked, or we are even doing the right thing. Okay, so this is the equal sign, and this is the function. So at this point, this is where you do debugging, and we check what is happening. So the function is not firing. Let's do a quick debugging. Let's do inspect element to see what is going on. So do inspect element, and we'll go straight to the console to see the error that is being fired up. So we can see that error right there. Abort is not defined. Oh, okay, I'm using the wrong language here. So apparently it looks as if it's working. Let's see. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Okay, so that section is being fired. Let's continue and check out what other error is being occurred. So the other thing we need to do is to print out this outside and abort our results and see what's going on in the evaluation here. So let's alert the evaluation result and see what it gives to us as an output. So that way we then know where we are in the project. Okay, so let's do 12 plus 36 equal to, oh, now it's working, it decided to work, but that's not the right answer. But I'm expecting to see an alert. So an alert function is not calling. 12 plus 3. So let's use this. This needs to be updated than that one that is there. Let's do 12 plus this. Okay, it brings up hello and it brings up 18, which is not correct. So what is missing? Let me check what is missing with our program. So let me do console, and this is debugging, by the way. So, and the purpose of debugging is to see why your program is not running the way it's intended to run. So I'm going to comment this out and check my console to make sure that I'm getting what I need to get. Another thing I also need to put out to the console is to see what is the value that is coming out of all these guys. Let's see if it is carrying the right notion or right information that it's supposed to have. Okay, so let's start by saying 12 plus 12 equal to. Okay, so if you can see that it's doing 12 plus 1, 12 plus 1. And that's the purpose of debugging, to see what's happening. So it means that the system is not capturing the 3 of that part. So let's try it again. So let's use 56 plus 39 equal to. So we are getting 56 plus 3. So 9 is not being captured. Why is so? Why is that so? So we'll go deep to the debugging later. But what I need to do is to first make sure that we are having a display. And let me press equal sign again. Okay, 59. Okay, we didn't make that show in the display. So it's bringing out 36 plus 96, 45. So it's bringing out the second part, 36 plus 9. So we're lacking the second part of the button, plus 69. So we're lacking the 69. We're lacking the last part of the second parameter that was pressed. So let's go and debug our issue and have it fixed. So our issue is under the second element, this one here. This is where we're getting our issue from. And the reason why this issue is occurring is because we set the second value before we set the text. So if this one goes up here, everything should be fixed now. So we went ahead to be assigning the first value and the second value, and then later display the correct information. It's supposed to be the other way around. After we must have set what the first value is, or rather the display box is, then we can then set it as second value. This is where our issue is coming from. So let's give it a try again. So if I have 12 plus 12 plus 12, I should have 24. So now is looking correct. Everything looks great now. We're going to try a couple of examples again. Let's try 36 plus 23. We have that 59. Let me have the second value display here. I need to have the second value display here so that we can see it at the bottom. So at the point where we do equal sign, we need to display the second value. So the second value can be displayed here, and I will do second, and I can do second here. So the second value will be displayed immediately you press your equal sign. Let's do 12 plus 14. So we'll have our 12 and 14 here is equal to 26. Another thing I can do, I can show the operator or what have you. You can do all that and have a good view. The other thing we wanted to do is to always reset our counter or our first and second value after equal sign. You want to reset your first and fourth value after you must have done your equal sign so that you can start all over again. So we want to reset everything. So if we do 4 plus 47 plus this, you have this. At the point where you do equal sign, you want to reset everything, or we'll just leave it like this because we're having another class starting by 8:30. So I don't want to go ahead of the class too much. I purposely did this so that I could record this session and put it online later. So we didn't record this last week. That's why I'm recording it. Okay, so this is where we are so far on this part of the system. I'll just go ahead and display the operator. I'll display the operator, or I'll put in such a way that you will see the values being computed, and that will help interpret the calculator. So instead of having first and second value, I'll do it separately by having to say something like this. We don't need to say first and second value, we just have it this way. And in this section, I will also say operator. I will say operator. I'll say operator contents, and here I will say the second value. At the last part, I don't need to put anything here. I'll just do equal sign. Then here I will do results. So that way it looks like you're plussing something together and you're seeing the result of what you're doing. Then I just call this results value content. So this part will be set at the later end. So if you try everything now, even though we've not set all that, just to see how everything is playing out, you can see that you have 23 and equal to. So we need to capture the second one when we press equal sign. So we didn't capture the operator, that's why this is blank. So let's capture the operator. Operator can be captured at the point when you select the operator. This is the point where we select the operator. We can also capture the operator there, and I can do that right here. And the operator can just be O. And there's also a shortcut, to making this nice, but let's just go with what we have here now. So if we do plus, you can see that it's bringing our 12 plus on the bottom. Then if you do 41, then you can do equal to. So what we need to do next is now to put our results in the result space when we have our equal to. I go to where I have my name, the name of the object, which is here, result val count content. And I go to equal sign, where we have our equal sign. We go to our equal sign, and what I'm doing here is I'm putting the result, which is now in the display box, putting it inside our results here. So is it here? So this is the computation of what we have. Whatever we have here, we give you this one. So another way to make it more lighter is to hold it in another variable. So just like we hold our operator in a variable, we can hold our result also in its own variable, like so that we can set our results like this. And do something like this. So that something like this will make sense. Yep. So let's give it a try again. So if I have 45 plus 36 is equal to 81. So you have your mini, display stuff right there at the bottom, just to guide what is going on. So you can do this plus this is equal to that. And by the way, we just use the plus operator. You could use every other thing. So you could use 89 multiplied by 2, and it should just give you the correct answer. And that's one of the powerful nature of a function, that we've created. We just remember that we didn't do anything that has to do with plus notation here. We just have to pass the same function, and it applies to every other thing. So I'm just gonna do some small modification, and what else? Okay, I'm trying to see what else is pending. Okay, I think we can stop here for now. We are gonna continue by 8:30. By 8:30, we have other things we need to do. We need to perfect the calculator to have other things. But before we go, let's make this reset work. That's this A button. So it's a way to zeroize everything in the platform. So if you have 2 plus 3 and then you do this, it should clear, you know, all instances of what you are doing before. Everything should be zeroized. And we already have that function here and it's called clear. But you should do way lots more than just this. You should be able to set the first value to 0. You should be able to set the second value as well to 0. So this is a shorthand to compute a similar result into one thing. You should be able to set the operator to blank and result as well. Result should be 0, not blank, and result as well to 0. So that this happens every time you press the this button here. It should clear everything. You also want to help the visual look of the whole thing, that this part should be cleared. So you can also set that through resetting all this first and second value. You could reset that. So instead of us repeating this section all over and all over again, you can create a global variable so that you can make use of it, you know, when you need it, and reset things yourself. So how do we do that? So if this one already have something here, if you press this, notice that it doesn't clear this. So of course we can always get this and clear manually, but we notice that we would have rewritten the code all over again. So let's clear the first value. So instead of repeating this code here now, come in here and so if I do this plus I do my clear, our 12 is gone. So what I can do is I can give this guy a variable so that I can use it, you know, here, and also use it at the bottom. Let's go ahead and make this guy a variable and call it so this will be like our handler. So I can call it let me see what is that supposed to do. That's first value object. So I'll call it first value is equal to this, or element, first value element, so that I can make use of that and say this. You can see that this one is easier to read than having a very lengthy stuff, and I can also make it fun by doing this. This is way easier to read. So anywhere we used to have this, now I can represent it with this. So I have it noted in some places, so we don't need to have this long stuff here again. We can just have something short like that. So we'll replace that with every other thing that we have here. So I'm going to replace this. I'm going to create a variable because we want to clear all the contents when we press the AC button. So I'll do let what name to call it now. I'll use result element. Results. Then I need to do for also the second value. Second value, and I need to do for the operator. Okay, I think I covered everything. So now I need to start substituting what I need. So let's work with second value elements. So where are the places that I use second value? I use second value here. That is it. Again, I need to set my second value to blank. set that here. So second value all done. Result, we need to also clear our results. Results dot inner text. Okay, what else do I need to do? Okay, results, we need to clear this one as well. This one is now called results elements. Okay, this one is now, did we give this guy a name? I don't think we give this guy a name. So let's hope we don't get any error right now. We've done this, we've done the results, we've cleared everything, almost everything. Let's give it a check. So 78 plus 36 is equal to that. Clear. So our operator is not clear enough. So let's see. We have our operator here. So we didn't have our, this just the operator as a variable. We need as an element. Our operator element is here. So it should be called, let me see what this one is called, if it's ever handled. Okay, so we didn't represent this one. So these are our operator elements. So I just call it operator element. Let's create the variable for that. We've done that. But the name is different, so it doesn't have value in the name. Give it this way so we can clear its contents like so. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's give it a try. So we're 45 times 6 is equal to 270. Clear. Okay, so we are good. Good. It's looking good now. Okay, I saw something. I wanted to try out a dark theme. I wanted to try out a dark theme. Give me a moment. I saw a dark theme online and I felt it would look good. So let me show you guys. So if I come here, this is the we're not even using the latest what's it called now, the bootstrap. So this is 5.3 alpha. So let's use this one. Let's replace what we have here. This is what we have here. So what we are using currently is 5.2. So let's use this one. The reason why I want us to use this one is because it comes with this attribute, allow you to specify that you could use a dark theme or not. So while I was preparing for this, I wanted to see how dark theme would look like. So immediately I apply that, I have our dark theme, you know, captured like that on the right hand side. So you can just toggle this and say light and dark. But I don't know why the button here is not looking nice. Our button here is supposed to be white as opposed to what is happening here. But you could always just change it. Let's just keep it to white. Let's see what is controlling it. So it's called the operator. We'll call it warning here. What we can do, instead of calling it warning, let's give it a proper name and call it operator. So let's say operator. Started though, even though this is like a styling stuff. So I will just call create operator CSS style rule, and I will say the background color orange, then color should be white. Okay, it's looking better, but let's look at the calculator that we have in the system. I think this is more deeper, so let's pick that deep color. Okay. I think we can play with this. Yeah, so that's what we have for now. And we can make sure that our weight of our fonts are bolder, just to give the user something to see. So we can make everything actually bold. Everything. Irrespective of who is looking. So by default now everything is bold now, just by doing this, like forcing everything to be bold. Okay, so let's move on to what we want to achieve today. So what we want to achieve today is, let's see where we stop. I've gone ahead to just play around with one or two things, but it's nothing that you guys cannot handle. So what we have is, let's see where we stopped the last time. We do 12 plus 36, and we have this. So what I've been able to do is just to do something like this. Instead of having first value, second value, the idea of that having first value, second value is just for me to be able to explain to you guys, so that you can see what is going on, you know, in the case at all points in time you always have first value and second value, and then you can then do your equal to. So when you have your AC pressed, everything clears off, then you can start all over again. Plus this is equal to this. Then so we're now at the point whereby we need to take it up a notch and decide what are the things we want to do, implement in our calculator. So you now need to start playing with the calculator to see what you can do to break it. And that's another thing I want to introduce when it comes to programming. The point whereby you are testing it, or you are playing with it. The user that you are designing these things for are not going to care about you in terms of care about the fact that you took 5 hours or 5 days to do one single thing. They will just mishandle it anyhow. So you need to design your program in such a way that it can handle the abuse from user. It can handle the abuse from user. So we can use the system in any form, and we will be thinking that it should respond to us. So let's play with the system and see how we can abuse it and how we can avoid the abuse from users. So let's say 56 times. That's what you wanted to do. And you can see that by pressing times 2 times, do you see what happened? So this is what I'm talking about, abuse. How user can abuse your system. In your mind, we've written a perfect, close to perfect calculator, but it's just one step away for disaster to occur. And that's where testing comes to play. Your project or your package or your app needs to have been properly tested. You need to have tried all angle and see reason, how things are working and how you can mitigate user inputs, to enforce them to follow a particular pattern so that your life can be easy. So I didn't even see this one coming. So we do 12 plus. So what happened again, if we press, because what I wanted to demo next, or what I want to do next, is the idea that you can change the operator at any time. So look at this. If I do 78, I press plus, and then we always have this, and maybe the intention was to press minus, and you do minus, it will gladly accept minus. And if you put the second value, it will give you 8. So you need to be able to make this calculator also smart like that and do that for you. In fact, just by pressing the thing twice, it has scattered the head. So let's now go to see our function, see what is happening, and control it and give it a proper procedure so that in which it will follow. Now, where this issue is coming from is what? Our setting of operator. Don't let all these things, these are just, we're just setting, this is the major thing here. We're setting the operator so that we can use it for computation. That's what's happening here. And these other ones, just a recap of what we did last. This one is to clear our text box. This one is to make sure that our first value is properly captured. And this one is that we're setting our first value, again. When we say, the process is when you do this and you click on your operator, the first value is set. Now, the problem now is that somebody now press another one. It's now setting empty. So we need to check before we start doing our setting. Before you set, because now that we've pressed another plus, what is the value now? It's empty. That's why it's saying 0. Now that we press times, what is the value? Because we've already cleared the value. We cleared the value when we press plus. When we do 32 and we say plus, we cleared the value. The reason why we cleared the value was so that it will allow us to enter the next value. That was the reason. So now that brings us back to what we wanted to achieve the other time, where we have 12, and whenever you press any of the operator, the value keeps standing there. And this is, we didn't implement this the last time, and maybe we should start off with this, and I hope we'll be able to do it, then before making sure that our operator, works the way we want it to work. Now that we've been presented with a challenge, how do we go about it? What is the thought process? What are you thinking of? What should be done? So, whenever you press your operator, it should not disappear. And mind you, the reason why we're making it disappear is that so that the next value can sit down right there. That was the reason. Okay, so let's see, how do we make it stay there? 36, we press operator. So this is what is happening. This is where we are clearing it, mind you. This is the point at which we are clearing it. We don't want it again, we are clearing it here. If you don't clear it, you know the challenge that you will get into. So if you have 12 and you don't clear it, right, which is fine, you can see that this is working. This is exactly what is supposed to happen. That you can change your operator in peace. You can see that we're changing our operator in peace, nothing is happening. But immediately you try to go on with the second parameter. What do you notice? It doesn't clear, and thereby giving us the wrong results as the second parameter. If we put equal sign, you can see what is happening here. It's not identifying that the second parameter is only 36. It's doing its own business. So you need to learn and inspect the problem and then find solution. Because if you don't understand the problem, everything we are doing here will not make sense. If you don't understand the problem, everything we are doing here will not make sense. Let's identify the problem one more time. The problem now, we've skipped this part. This is not the problem. The problem is this one is working, and this one has even solved this problem for us. So the problem now is that at the point when we want to enter the second one, how do we let the system know that, hey, we are dealing with the second value now, it's safe to clear this one? How does it know that we're dealing with the second one? The only way for it to know that we're on the second leg is that an operator has been set. The only way that it will know that because you have to put flags all around to help you to know where you are in your program. So I will repeat again. The only way for this program to know that you are done with the first value is that the operator is already set. So that when you now click on the second value, it should clear this part. So how do we go and do that? So this is where display figure is happening. Whenever you press 1 to 9, 0 to 9, this button gets triggered. So this is where we are going to do our decision making. This is where the stuff is going to happen. The magic, this is where it's going to happen. So I want to start checking that to make sure that so if I have this, I want to start checking that so how do I start check? So I want to start my check in the way beginning before anything happen. I want to do my check. I'm ignoring all the old thing that is happening here because all this one are working, mind you. So you must learn to compartmentalize your code in such a way that you know that this piece of code is working. You just needed to add or remove, and is it adding to the beginning or adding to the end? In this case, what we want to do is to add in the beginning. And why so? Because we're already doing this and it's working. So immediately you have your plus. What should happen? When you have your operator, what should happen? And then you pick any of this figure. What should happen? So when you pick any of this figure now, I want the system to check. Even though we're checking here, I'm doing this check to see if an operator is set. If an operator is set, right, and there is no second value before, make this one blank. Check out the condition again. If an operator is set and there's no second value before, make this section blank. So let's put that into code. If an operator is set, how do you check if an operator is set? Is by making sure that it's not blank. So meaning this one means that the operator is not blank, it contains something. So I'm gonna say operator set. I mean, this one means that operator is set. That fulfills this condition. Operator is set, right? So the next part is that I want to also check to make sure that the second value has never been set before. I want to check that. So how do I check that the second value is not set before? This is the value here. I will also check that here. I will do a combination and say and the second value is also equal to 0. I think this is the right time for us to go to if condition. I think the last time we did if condition, we didn't go deep like what I'm doing. So because I didn't go deep, I will not do this crazy check for you. Instead, let's do it gradually, the layman way, that it will be very easy because I didn't combine it for you. So at this point, we know that our operator is set. Operator is set. So here I say operator is what? Is set. So the next one I wanted to do here is to also check if what? If our second value is not set. How do you know if your second value is not set? Is when it's equal to 0. So I will say if second value not set. So if these two conditions happen, that's when you can then clear whatever is here by putting it to, I can say equal to 0 or empty. That's when you can do this. Let me try 0 or let me say empty. So let's see if this code works. Let's see what happens if this will work. So let's say 78, right? We put plus, we put minus, we put times, we put divide, we put plus. Then let's say 3. So this is what happened. This works. Let's say 6. This works. Let's say 9. It works. Let's say equal to. Fingers crossed. It's working. So this piece of code has saved us. Let's give it a try again. So let's say 12 plus or minus 2, then equal to. We have 10. Without this code we've written, this will still be misbehaving, right? I've just removed that code now, and then I do this, and I do this. Do you get? It's still misbehaving. So this code, how 4 lines of code is what has helped us. Remember, before, what made me wrote these 4 lines of code was because I know what the problem is and I know what I want the system to achieve, and I use what I know to find the solution to it. Quickly, let me do one more explanation to explain what happened in the code. I have 12 plus, minus, times. I have 3. If I press this 3 now, it will work. Or let's go back to the problem, because I know it can be confusing. So I do 12. The problem is that what? We can't have the next value. The next value is not coming in. And the reason is because of the code we've written down here. Mind you, everything I've written down here can be rewritten. Oh. There's no one simple logic to programming. This is just one way to do this calculator. There are several ways and even shorter method to writing it. But I'm taking this approach because I'm teaching you a lesson. I'm showing you how it is done, how you can programmatically, tell computer to do this systematically, gradually, step by step. Do you get? There's another method where you know all the problem and you just throw the solution at it. But here we're just picking it one after the other. Oh, we identify this problem, we fix it. We identify this problem, we fix it. Even though it's not really the best way to solve a problem, you can just do, this is a way to start learning programming. And that's why I'm going through this method. So the problem we are having is the fact that when you put the first value, you put your operator, how do you know that you are about to hit the second value? That is the problem. That is what I wrote this code for. So how do we know that's what this code is for? If operator is set, that's it here. Operator is set here. At the point where I do this, operator has been set. The next thing, making sure the second value is not set before. If it is not set before, accept that whatever is going to, if it's not set before, clear the screen. By clearing this screen for me, it allows me to enter 3. Remember, this code is already working. There is bottom here already works. So it just plugs into what is already available. To be able to identify numbers, quickly. And one of the best way I can do that is to start. I want to start all numbers separately. Now, anything that is number, I want to style it. So I do a Ctrl D here. I come here and call it btn numbers. So this way I have a class for all numbers, and I can then add special style to numbers so I can give it that coloring that it has. So let's just quickly do small coloring and then we'll go on to the next stuff that I saw. Then I can do background color. I want to get a color picker. So it's going to be tough. Okay, are we getting there? Okay, then we can increase the font of all the buttons or something. This one control the group, so I think this one can have for all the font size. Let's do 12 and see what 12 look like. So let's do 17, 19, 20. Okay, I think it's not doing that bold thing. It's not really working for it like that. Okay, so let's move on. And there's a dot. Notice that we've not done dot. We've not done this dot, like we've not done decimal place. So we can leave the decimal for now, because again, calculator is, let's just focus on the main thing. We'll still, by the time you do the dots, we'll do the dots, but not now. Let's focus on another thing that won't eat too much of our time. And I also want us to understand what's going on. Okay, guys, thank you for the roses. So let's move on. Continuous arithmetic operation. Right. So when we have 12, yes, when we have 12 times 6 plus 3 minus 6 plus 56 times 9. We want to do something like that. Can we pull that off? Let's see if we can pull it off. So you can only pull it off. Again, I'm coming up with this only when you understand the problem. You need to understand it very well. How is it doing it? Then you can mimic it, yourself as well. How is it doing it? So let's do 1 plus 1. Immediately we go on operator again, it does the computation. That's one giveaway. That tells us that's crazy. That gives us another stuff. It changes the dynamism of what's going on. When you do 75 times 6 minus or plus, it does the previous computation that you've kept. That's crazy. How can you pull that together and then make that happen here? You have to think a lot about it. You have to think about the problem. And then you have to also make use of what you have on ground. Because the code you've written is very important. You can't scrap everything because of one problem. You will end up, well, I hate to use the word patch. Because the idea of building a calculator is for you to know all the problem and solve it. And that's why it's good for you to have a higher level of understanding of what you are facing. So that when you are designing and planning, you are not patching your code. While patching our code, I'm doing it this way because I'm teaching you. We can redo this calculator again on a higher level where everything will be very easy and then plugged in. A lot of abstraction and what have you. This class is really not it. You need to be an intermediate or advanced level to be able to understand all the things I'll be talking about in that classes. Okay, let's move on. Let's study the problem again quickly. So we have 1 plus 1. Anytime you press the operator for the second time, it does what? It does the computation. It does the work of equal to. Do you get? That's what we need to program now. When you do 8 times 3, anytime you press any of the operator here, the for operator, it does the work of what? Equal sign. You do this. It does this work. So how do you do that? How do you do that? We already have it in our own code that when we do this plus this, what it does is that I've not even tried when we do continuation. Let me say if we do this plus this, right? We've not tried to press plus again to see what happened. That's one thing we've not done. We've just jumped to equal to and it was working and we are celebrating. We've not finished all the bugs that is on the system. We've not tried to go back to another operator while we're already in 9. We've not tried it. So we're about to give it a try now. And I'm sure it's not going to give us a very palatable taste. So let's do this and then let's go back to minus. So you see what it did right there? It took away your first value and turned the 3 to the first value and allow you to enter the second value. So it has scattered the whole program. We're back to step 0 or step 1. So it has scattered you pressing another operator while you've pressed the second operator, scatters the whole system. It turns the next operator, it turns this one into the first operator, the first value. And for some reason, we don't even know where it puts the whole thing again. It now even have 36 there. And then gives you this funny figure. Let's try it again. So you need to know what is going on to be able to fix the problem. 12 plus 6 plus, we have our 12 in the memory, 3. Let's see what happened to the 12. 12 is gone totally. Right? Our first value is gone totally. So we need to fix this before we even think of something else. So what is the problem? The problem is that whenever we have our first operator set and we have our second operator set, we already define it that is equal to we need to press. We need to be able to, okay, I think this will solve the problem. Yes, it's the problem actually, to solve the problem. We need to be able to now, whenever we press any operator at this point, it needs to evaluate it for us. At the point whereby first and second value are pressed, You've pressed your first value, you've pressed your operator, you've pressed your second value. If you go and press an operator again, it should do what? Set equal sign. Very simple. So let's do it. So I've given you the condition, and it's under set operator. So when should this be evaluated? The condition should happen. Is it after or before? In fact, it should not happen. It should not set operator. Okay, so let me explain what is going on, because you need to be able to mathematically put in your brain what is going on. So let me explain what is going on for you. So we have let's say we have 12, which is first value, and then we have plus, which is second value, and we have 13 rather, which is second value. And if you press another operator again, what happens is that 12 plus 13 will equal to be your first operator now, which is now 25. 25 now becomes your first operator. I'm writing this out because I want to write it in the code. So you see because you have to be able to reason out the solution first before you translate it into code. So this is what I want to show you. These are first value. Our first value, right? And these are our operator. Even though I don't want to call it first operator, but let me say our first operator, right? And again, now this is our second operator. This is our second value. So if we now press equal sign is working, but now we press another operator. So at this point, another operator should be equal to, meaning when the system senses that another operator is pressed, it should treat as equal to. When will it know? It will only know when first value is set, operator is set, and second is set. Treat the sign as equal to. Once you treat the sign as equal to, automatically set the first value back to the result. This is the thing I want to do. First value is set, operator is set, second value is set. Once you press another operator, turn that operator to equal sign, and the result should be set to first value, and be prepared to enter the second value, and prepared to enter operator again, and the circle goes on. Let's go and do this. Okay, we do it at the point where you remember that it's at the point where you click on the operator again. We're using plus sign, but it can be any of the operator. Whenever you press the operator again, change it or use it as an equal sign. Meaning you will set the operator to the new operator that was set. But first of all, execute it first before you do anything. Execute it first, actually, before you then go ahead and be setting anything. So this is the point. We are going to put these guys inside one box. Like, I'm going to not talk about it now because I want to do something. So I don't know if we're going to do it at first or at second. I think it's at the first. So we're checking for three things. So we're writing our if condition. If, by the way, let me now start teaching you about the if. The if I want to show you now is how to combine, because my code is going to be looking too much like spaghetti code if I didn't teach you this. So I want to combine three conditions together. Remember, it's three things we have here. We're checking three things. So I want to combine these three things into one line instead of doing it one after the other. So this is how to do one. Let's do one after the other, and you see how not really funnish, but how deep down it looks. So we say if the first operator, first value, if the first value is not empty, first value is not zero. When it is not zero, what does it mean? It means it's set. That's what that means. And this is how to do that. You are combining. But again, I want to do it in that in the way so that you will understand. But we're going to put everything in one line later. If first value is set, that's what this one means. Let's go and check that if operator is set to. We then check again that if operator is not blank, meaning is set. Then you check the third one. You can see what's happening here. I'm doing a nested if, which is not really a good idea to do, but just follow through. Then I do the second value. Of course, you can do your checking in any order. It's not, you can do it in any order, but I'm explaining it so that you can have a good understanding of what I'm doing. It's not 0. If it is not 0, so if all these 3 conditions are met, what do we say you should do? So this is the reason why you need to write down your steps and you don't forget what you're about to do, in writing your code. What we want to do is to do what? Call equal sign or call equal function, which I'm about to call now. Our equal function is this. I just need to call it. I don't need to do anything, just need to call it. Meaning I should call my equal sign. Yeah, call it. When you call it, what else do I need to do? Notice that it's doing all sort of crazy things here, like is clearing our first value. And is it clearing our first value? Let me check. Okay, it's not clearing our first value, which is good. It doesn't matter. So once I've equaled the sign, I want to do the next thing. The next thing I want to do, let's stop there so I don't confuse you. Let's stop there. So let's see just this code we've written. Let's see it work out. But this operator is still going to be set anyway. Yeah, let's see how this works out. So let's run this. So we have 12 plus 13 plus, okay. Are you sure this thing, let me refresh. Okay, I didn't save because it's not receiving my input. 12 plus 13. This guy is not responding again. Let me check what's going on. Okay, we have 12. Okay, this button is not responding. Let me check what happened. I hope we don't have error in our code. Let me cut this one out and see if the code still works. Okay. I think there's something wrong with our condition. We're going to read it out again so that to make sure that, so okay, something is wrong with this condition. So let's read out this condition to make sure that we are actually doing the right thing. I think number one, this variable does not exist. There's nothing like first val. It's supposed to be called first value, right? So our first value, that's our global variable that we set to handle the first value. We didn't call it properly. We called a variable that does not exist. So it broke the code and it couldn't execute all this part again. Let's try it again. And you should also learn to execute your code gradually, because you're just learning. So you don't need to write it lengthy, or else you'll be lost in the program. Okay, let's do this. We have 12 plus. Okay, it's still the same thing. I think let me get all the. Let's check inspect elements so that we can get all the error at once and know what is happening. Instead of guessing the error, let's check the inspect elements is your best friend. So let's check this. So if we do 1, 2 plus, okay, so it's saying our operator not defined. So I think it's a spelling stuff. Our operator, okay, there's no underscore. So that's consistency. I'm supposed to use underscore at some point there. So I didn't use it. So that's consistency in naming. So I've changed it. Let's try it again and see if we still have any error. So if I do this plus this plus, okay, so no error again. Let's go back to our test. I think the error are all gone for now. So the error was our first value was not properly defined. Operator was also not defined properly. So let's do our 12 plus 3, 2. We have 44. We have 44. So that is correct. So you can see that even without using our equal sign, when you do this plus this, and then you go ahead and press times, it will still execute the plus, but however, it did the wrong assignment. So all those things can be, corrected gradually. But you are getting the hang of what's happening. That is doing what it's supposed to do. And automatically, this 18 now becomes our first value. so it will allow you to do plus the next thing. So how do you tell that 18 is your next value? Is by coming here and specifically stating that you have a new first value, which has been stated here. But this one is just capturing this should capture it. Let's see. Let's check again. So if you do 12 plus 3, so if you now do plus again, your first value is supposed to be 15. How do we check that? You can check that here in the console by searching for first value. Of course, we didn't use this console to run it, so let's run it in this console and do 12 plus 36. Our first value should now be 48. So how do you check? You can just do first value. So first value is not correct as 48. It's still seeing this one, this 12 as first value. At the point where we did our plus, yeah, I think it's seeing it all. Let's check again. 12 plus 6 plus 6, 66. So it should see 78 as our first value. Let's check. Yeah, it's working. It's saying 78 as our first value. So if we now decide to do plus 1 again, plus 1. So at the point where we have that plus 1, it's supposed to work. So again, that is when you now note when to clear and know when to set. The reason why it's not having the plus 1 is because it sees this as, second value, and it's just appending to it. So those are the conditions that need to be met before you can have all these things set. So let's go to what we've achieved today before we call it a day. But I just discovered that I have another meeting set up. I didn't even plan the meeting very well. I have another meeting set up, So give me a minute or two. Try to unwrap the code, or try to make it as elegant as possible, and use this opportunity to show you if condition, because most of the problem will come in here. This decision, you can see that everything it's as if we're having a lot of if everywhere. And if condition is a very powerful tool. It changes the flow of your application. It changes the decision that needs to happen. And your understanding of a conditional statement can differentiate you from a novice to an intermediate. Again, look at the whole program. I did not do anything special. The only thing, you're not even seeing some major keyword, or you can read everything here. And the whole thing is just if condition that we, nothing special, and eval, nothing special. I'm just moving things around. And that's why when I was telling you guys about variable, what variable is all about, it's about just moving things around. You're just moving variable around to make it easier to read and what have you. So let me take this opportunity to explain how if condition works. So we have the syntax like this, and then we have condition. And the condition is where the magic happens. So the condition can have condition, or rather the condition can be combined with one conditions. So conditions are written like this. So conditions are written like equal sign, meaning when something on the left hand side is equal to what is on the right hand side. What's on the left hand side is equal to what's on the right hand side. And you have not equal to, meaning the opposite of equal to obviously is equal to. So when you are trying to make a condition and you want to have the opposite, you just say when this is not equal to. Just like the way I express here, that when this guy is not set, because when I'm setting this, when we are setting it, we put it to 0. Remember when we are defaulting it, when we are setting it from the beginning is 0. Whenever it's 0, it means it was not set. Nobody set it until you press something before it changes the state from 0 to something else. So a way to say that it is not set is to say it is not equal to 0. because the computer does not understand. What do you mean that it's not set? What's that? He doesn't understand that. So it's you to understand that in the first place you put it to be 0. So how do you now say that when is it not set? When it's not set, what state should it be? It should not be equal to 0. Anything apart from 0 means that somebody has changed the state of what it's supposed to be, right? And you notice we did the same thing in operator. Operator by default was empty, and when anytime we click on set operator, we assign it to what was set. So the only time it becomes empty is either when we cleared it, or when we actually cleared it or something. That's when it is, when we cleared it or when the application just started. That's when operator will be empty. So the only way to say if it's empty is to say like this. This means it is empty. This sign means it is empty. And if you want to say otherwise, the opposite of empty is this. It is not empty. Remember, that's all what this condition is all about. When first value is not empty, when operator is not empty, when second value is not empty. That's why we have all these guys looking like this. Okay, so the equal sign and the not equal to are pretty straightforward. We move to the next thing, which is greater than and less than, which we've not been using. We've not been using greater than, but we'll start using it soon. Greater than, we have greater than or equal to. We have this is mass. Less than or equal to. And that's why most of the time, you guys will hear that it's good to know maths when you are coming to the programming arena, right? Because it requires you to think. When you are solving maths, you need to think, kind of. That's why, even though it does not require you to know dy, dx, all those advanced maths and all that, it doesn't it doesn't require you to know all those advanced maths, but it requires you to be able to think on your feet, to put one or two things together, to think logically. So let's move on to other conditions that we have. I think that's it. I will not implement this one. This is equivalent, but let's keep this one for now. Let's first play with what we have. So this one applies to conditions. This is how you make condition, and you've seen this a lot. You've seen us using it. This is not equal to this. Where do we even use equal to? Here, see where we use equal to. Operator is equal to empty, and then you see that the fact that there's another leg to your if. You can make only one possible decision, that it should just be this, only and only if it is this. We don't care about if it is not. There are conditions where you need to care if it is not. Just like in this condition here. If the operator is empty, okay, do something like this. If it is not, do something like this. This is where we are deciding to set the first and the second value. Meaning if the operator is blank at some point, we are about to enter the first value. For some reason, if operator is not blank, it means anything you are entering is what? Second value. That's how we got to this point. That's when you can see when two things need to happen. This one is only one thing. If this guy is 0, make it blank. Only one thing. This is also an example where we are just focusing on just one decision, one way. You don't need to check for anything, just one check, and that is it. You are done. It's like they said, it's either you do this or you do. It's either you do this, nothing else. That's what that one is. So what that means is that if allows you to decide that you want to do else, that's opposite of what you want the else, or continuation, that if it does not meet that condition, do the else. That's what the else extension stands for. And I've just shown you where I use the else. And we don't just use all these things for fancy sake. We use it when it needs to, because your logic demands that you use else, and that's why we're using else. Not because we just feel like we want to use else. Your logic demands it, and that's why we use else. The next part is how to combining, what's it called? Combining conditions. Combining conditions. And the good thing you will know about this is that the good thing that you will learn about this is the fact that everything I'm teaching you here is applicable conditions, is applicable to major programming language. major programming languages. What you are seeing here is obtainable in Python, in any other programming language. So you're not just learning this just for this sake. You can use it in other programming language. And that's why sometimes you saw me, I'm using another language inside JavaScript, because sometimes I can just forget about that. Oh, okay, this function is not available. And once I see the error, it just tell me that, oh, okay, I'm calling the wrong function inside another language. And that's how, programming language is wired. They have similarities. Okay, let's move on and talk about how you can combine conditions together. And that's what I wanted to do here when I stopped, because I've not shown you combination, how to combine. You can combine with two ways. You can use this, which denotes and, or use this, which denotes or. And I'm sure you've done logic gates. Well, let me not assume you've done logic gates. But those people that did computer science, you have your and or in logic gates and whatever, a logic gate circuits. So you have your and or. And what your and means is that the both of them must be true for that condition to be accepted as true. Let me go back a little bit. The only time a condition will happen is when that condition is what? Is true. I will repeat. The only time the block of code inside an if statement will execute is when the condition is what? Is true. So let me go back to all the example we've used. The only time this code will work is when this is true. Note that. Is when this is true. Is when this is true. That's when all these things will work. When this is true now, it will go to the next line of code. It checks. If it's true, it goes to the line of code. When it's true, it goes to the next line of code. That's when your condition executes. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm adding more combination to you to see. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how to have your conditions combined together, which we've not done before. So you combine your conditions with your and or the or. So I'm combining one condition, condition 1, and I'm combining it with condition 2. And I told you the criteria for this section of code to work here. The criteria for it to work is that when it checks both of these conditions, if both of them are true, what happens? It runs what is inside here. If you have else, it will go for your else. If you don't have else, it will not bother. It will just work on this. So let's edit our code to implement this condition. So if we come here, because we have these 3 levels, you can easily use our what? Our and to concatenate the next condition, which is this one. I will cut it and put it here. And we have the third condition. I will use my and as well and bring the third condition like so. I will cut it. I'll paste it here, thereby allowing me to delete all this empty if and our curly braces. Then I can have my code look like this. You see that? So I've just combined all my code into one line of code. But again, this is good for someone that knows what they are doing. It's not that too hard to read, right? Its value is not empty, and this is not empty, and that is not empty. Then if we run our code, it should work, no problem. I don't think we're going to have error. So if I do 12 plus 3 plus 6, so you can see that it's working like usual. Minus 9 plus is working. So because we didn't change much, this is how it works. So we can repeat the same thing here, where we have our nested or inner, nested if. Where is that nested if again? So we can repeat. It has disappeared. Okay, this is it here. So we can repeat our nested if and just take this guy and say you have it here. So and so for this code, we didn't use where we have or. We explained or. There are places where you need your or. And I'm trying to think of a scenario now when you will need or. So and or is used for that any of them is true. Aha, it's gonna start getting a little bit tricky right now. So you want to use or, right? It's gonna start getting tricky. Let's duplicate this one and let's call this guy using or. So if for some reason this guy is equal to true, condition 1, or let's say condition 3 and condition 4, this is now going to your logic gates. If you did logic gates, if you have true or false as a condition, what's the answer? Who knows the answer? Chorus question. No. If you have true or true, what's the answer? If you have false, and so you need to know this by heart. Yeah. True is false. No, hold on. You're not getting there's an operator in between. So what's the combined, what I'm using to combine them is the operator. So you have to say and or. So yes. So you just say true. True, is it true or true and false? You have to use it like this. So the 1 here means or, right? So if you want to answer any question, you say true or false is this. True or true is this. False and false is this. False and true is this. Do you get? So you need to use that operand. I think they call it operand. Yes. You need to use the operand to determine what will give you the results. The reason why I'm showing you this is because look at this now. Look at this code. Do you know that this yields a result? This yields a true or false result. This also yields a true or false result. If you don't know this, right, you cannot decode what code will be executed. Of course, you know what you are trying to do. You want to know that if this one is equal to empty and this is equal to empty, you should do this. But what result will you get when you check if this is not equal to empty? It's going to compute into true or false. Let me go back to this. All your conditions that you have here is only checking for true or false. A condition is either true or false. It only takes 2 states. When you are running an if condition, that's why I showed you this arrow, that this code will only run if the result after evaluation your condition is true. This code will execute. Going a step further, if you combine the condition here, either true or false, and you combine it here, either true or false, you use AND to combine both of them. If you got true, it's going to run this result. Why I'm showing you this part is that for you to know how the AND and the OR operand or operator works. So I'm asking a question again. If you have true or false, what is the result? If you have true or true, what's the result? If you have false or false, what will be the result? If you have false and false, what's the result? If you have false and true, what will be the result? Which other one can I have again? Yes, you have true and true. If you have true and true, chorus answer. If you guys know it, let me know what will be your results. And we're going to test it now. So, oh yeah, I'm waiting for answer. Let me open console because we're going to test it. And it's so easy to test. So I'm also going to test my own knowledge too, safe. Oh yeah, now this is very straightforward. Now this is just so true or false is what?
True or false is true.
Okay.
True or true is true.
Okay.
False or false is false.
Okay.
False and false is false.
Okay.
Then false and true is true.
Okay. You guys are going to, all of you are going to answer. Oh yeah. Next.
Then true and true is true.
Oh yeah, who is the next person? I can hear you.
Yeah, true or false. True or false is true.
Okay. Okay, next.
True and true. True or true is true. False or false is false.
Okay.
And false is false.
Okay.
Yeah, and false and true is false.
Okay.
And the last one is true.
Okay. We have one more person. It's true, right? Oh yeah, the last person. I hope you are there. Oh yeah. Tyra B. Waiting for you. I hope are you there or you are doing something else? Madam. Okay, let's move on. So let's see. Let's test the results and see. Okay, so we do our conditional statement. So I do if. So I just write true, right, and false, and I write my code here. And if this one executes, how do I even make it very easy to see? Let me try eval. If this will work. Yeah, I think this should work. True. I just want it to dump the result for me. True, false. I don't. Okay, yeah, this is correct. So this code I'm writing now is correct, right? It's dumping our result for us. So the first one is correct. Both of you got it right. And the second one is true or wait. The second one is true and true, right? Okay, so let's try true and true. True or true. So it's also true. So the third one is false or false. False or false is false, and false and false. False and false. The answer is true now. Which one? Okay, the 34. False and false. The answer is true.
I think your operand is different. They're using the not and.
Okay, and wait, where are we? Wait, I think I'm missing it.
We are on the 34 line.
34 line. Yeah, that's 34 line is false and false now. I'm telling you that the answer is wait, now I'm telling you that the answer is true. It's false. Okay. Okay. I don't feel that one be that. Okay. False and true. That's false. Okay. What's his name? Steven got this one. Then true and true is true. True and true is true. So the reason why I'm doing this test, right? It helps when you're coding. It helps. And by the way, it doesn't stop here. You can have combination like this, right? You can have crazy combination like this. You can see what I just did now. You can have crazy combination like this. Well, I don't have to go in details about it, but the fact is that when you have, there's a rule that governs these things. When you have or, it's always, the truth that shows. When there's an or and there's one true, as long as there's so many or false, or false, or false, or false, or false, once there's one true, everything becomes true, like that. So that's how this is. So it's a very good exercise that you can do And this is how I did this. I just use eval. I told you the power of evaluation now. Eval you can evaluate code directly and it will to execute it for you. It's like you can even write a JavaScript function inside eval and it will run it. So it has some crazy power. Okay, so any other contribution for today? What other thing do we have for today? I need to give you guys assignments. You guys escaped my assignment last week. I need to give you assignments this week. So let me see where we stop on this maths code. And again, I don't want us to be sitting on one project and be doing it forever, but you guys can pick up the project and do it on your own leisure time, because we need to also expand on other things, right? Because when you are solving, when we are focused on one problem, right, there's a limit to which there's a limit at which it expresses itself. Like for example, I might not be able to teach you objects using calculator. Even though I need more examples that would be more relatable, which I'm thinking already that we should do a game for our objects. When I'm teaching objects, I'm thinking we should do a game, or let's see how it goes. We'll be starting objects. Our next class we'll do objects, and then I've been thinking about it, we might be doing a game. So again, for the first time, I've not done a game before. It'll be my first time, and then the idea is once you know programming, just anything you can think of, you can let computer to it. Once you know the language that it speaks, you can interpret and then allow computer to do it for you. Okay, so the assignment I want to give you guys is, I think we are pretty done on the calculator to some extent, though not done, but I will share this code I've done so far with you guys. Right, I'll put it in the community page, and the assignment will go and be look for more bugs, document those bugs, and fix it. So like for example, now when I mean look for more bugs, you can say, okay, this was the bug I found. It was not doing this before. I was able to make it to do this. Another one is, how do you put, in fact, instead of doing that, I can even say you should implement these dots. Like let this dot be just a helper, a spoiler, this spoiler we'll call it, or what you can do to make this work is just to treat a dot as a number. Do you get? But you only accept it once. Do you get? So if I do 7 days, I can treat this dot as a number, but I can't enter it more than once. So anytime that it has already been captured in any of the value, don't allow it in again. Do you get? So that's the way you can use to do. So the assignment now is to go and implement these dots, meaning you should be able to do 1.3 plus 6.5, something like that. So dots, take it as a digit, as a number, because it's using a number. Take it as a number so that you can manipulate it better. So that you can manipulate it better and then how do you a lot of bugs will arise, and one of those bugs that will arise is the fact that if you press dots 2 times, there'll be a problem. You can press 6 twice, there's no problem in it. That's normal. It's a normal computation, but you can't have 1.5. There's nothing like that. So you should be able to restrict the use of dots. How do you do that? I can give you some scenario that you can use. I think it will help. So if you do 1 dot and then you press it again, you can search, does the dot exist in the display? If it does, ignore the dot, right? Don't bother about the dot again and just focus on the next thing. Anytime there's already a dot, don't worry again in the value you are concentrating on. So let's look at how it's been implemented here. So if you have 7 dots, you can see the dot, I'm pressing the dot, and I do 6 and I do dot. Do you notice that it's not allowing me to do that? You can hear that beep sound. It's just ignoring my dots. And I do 3. It's going to accept 3. But whenever I come to dot again, it's not going to accept it. If you made a mistake, 0 it out, that's fine. And then go with start again. Or you can't have 2 dots. So it's very easy to do. And when you come back to dot, it shouldn't. But immediately you plus it with something, it should start accepting your new dots, but not continuous dots. Dots this, and then that should work. So very easy. Tip again, that let me repeat that again. As allow dots to come in as like a number, because it's going to treat it when you evaluate, it's going to treat it like a number. But when you have dot already in either you are in the first value section or in the second value section, when you notice that there's a dot already, you can find. I've taught you guys how to do find, replace. Once you find that there's a dot already, just ignore the dot that is trying to come in again, and that will be it. And you can do that inside where you have your digits here. So you can put your if condition right here in the beginning. If there's already dot in first or second value, not first and second value, depending on the stage you are in. If you're in the first stage, if there's a dot in the first stage, don't ignore it, like that. Check for the second value, like that. You should know the stage you are in when you are capturing any of these inputs. Detect those stages, know what you need to do, and then execute. So that's your assignment. I will share the code in the community page.
The assignment. Just to make sure that this dot sign work.
Yes, yes. I'm just giving you a tip. Yes, make sure it works. Yes.
Okay.
And make sure that you can't enter more than one dot at a go. You shouldn't be able to enter more than one dot. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on bell notification in order to be notified when we release new videos. See you in the next one.